Hello and welcome to Business This Week. My name is Joy Malik, and with me in the studio is my beautiful co-host.
Thank you very much, Joy. I am Wokocha Chinwe.
Well, today we are going to give you a rundown of most of the activities that happened this week in our business world, from federal budgets, and then gas flaring, then Trans-Niger pipeline, and so on. But before we give you the story in details, let's go on a quick break, and when we return, Business This Week continues. So stay tuned.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Business This Week. Well, like my colleague said earlier, we have a lot in stock for you.
A lot.
Well, let's start the rundown of what we'll be discussing. First, we'll be talking about federal budgets. And the second thing on the list will be gas flaring.
Yeah,
and then we'll move over to energy transition. And then to fuel scarcity.
Yes.
After that, we'll talk about the banking sector.
Yes.
And we'll take you to 2023 fiscal year. After that, we'll talk about $185 million unpaid bill. Then we'll talk about solar projects. After that, we'll talk about cost of governance. Then we'll talk about blue economy.
And then
last but not the least, sales report.
Yes, sales report.
So let's start with federal budgets and how 3.92 trillion was spent as subsidy on petrol
from
January 2020 to June 2022. Findings shows that over the last 30 months, Nigeria has spent more on fuel subsidy
alone
than on either the health, defense,
or even the education ministries. Yes, and we all know that Nigerians' fuel subsidy program has continued to limit remittances to the Federal Account Allocation Committee by an NNPC for distribution to the federal government and then state and local government areas. I strongly believe that many Nigerians are shuddering the cost of education, health, and security through and sundry private arrangements. Why fuel subsidy offers zero support
at all. And aside from taking a clear position on the fuel subsidy issue,
yes,
I suggest the federal government should begin the shutting down phase of subsidy programs
to save the country
from impending fiscal crisis.
Yes, and understandably, this suggestion will affect the welfare of the citizens.
Exactly.
But it is only in the short term. Yes, we know. And on the other hand, the more external effects of sustaining this program are disastrous. Yes, very disastrous. Now let's take a look at gas flaring. Well, the federal government has fined oil and gas firms operating in the country. Yeah, I think the sum of how much? $294 million, which is about approximately billion naira for gas flaring.
For just gas flaring.
And then the chairman, Petroleum Engineers Olalekan, said that they are working closely with the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. I can categorically say that companies which flare gas will now pay more than those utilizing it.
That's what it means.
So it will be to their advantage to start thinking of ways to utilize the gas instead of flaring them.
Exactly. Well, for me, I don't think penalties are the answer to reducing gas flaring at this point.
Really?
Yeah, what I think is that oil firms should be encouraged to move towards more gas production.
Okay.
For the indigenous market and for export as well. But if the fine was not imposed, the oil firms would not have taken action
at all. Yes.
It is good that the fine, which would have been there
all the while,
was imposed.
Exactly.
It can also be negotiated, but it should be official. It should be done officially.
Yes, it should.
All right, let's talk about energy transition. Oil and gas companies are now channeling their investments
into alternative
energy sources.
Yes.
At this point, Nigeria must prepare a mainstream transparency and accountability mechanism into her energy transition agenda. This is to avoid the pitfalls of her past and present energy sector.
So these things won't repeat itself again. You know, Nigeria being an oil and gas dependent country, Nigeria is highly vulnerable and exposed to the risks and challenges of the energy transition. And the global energy transition agenda is already reshaping. They're reshaping the oil and gas landscape. Well, work has already been put in place to help citizens and stakeholders gain full insight on the risks and opportunities that are associated with the transitions. Yes. Well, that's an energy transition. Let's move over to fuel scarcity. Well, we all know it is now a recurring decimal in Abuja. I mean, we can't stay for a stretch of 3 to 4 months without having to contend with fuel queues in Abuja, and this is worrisome.
It is.
I mean, I bought from a filling station this morning at Kubat on 300 naira per liter. Wow. I had to buy from them because I can't go and queue where it is sold for 175 naira per liter, and you end up spending an hour waiting to be served. How are you even sure you will be served at the end? I mean, if I had waited, I won't even be able to come to work early. I had to go there. Yes,
you can imagine that. Well, I think there is a little disruption, if you ask me, in supply, and this should be addressed.
It should be addressed fast and immediately.
Exactly, because I doubt if there is actually product scarcity in terms of imports by NNPC.
Yes.
All right, away from that, let's go into the banking sector. And on the banking sector, World Bank has said that public debt in Nigeria is concerning.
Yes, it is.
It is indeed, due to the rising debt service to revenue
ratio. Yes, it is.
Exactly. And debt pressures have increased as debt service to revenue is projected to increase
I think,
102.3% by the end of 2022. What this means is that high oil prices do not actually translate into government receipts.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. This is due to elevated subsidies for petroleum products.
And we all know that the combination of low production in the oil industry and unsustainable subsidies is one of the main obstacles to attaining debt sustainability.
It is.
Now, this is according to World Bank. The World Bank said that the growth was affected by the underperformance of the oil sector.
Of course.
Well, away from that, and 2023 fiscal year, President Buhari today, which is Friday, presented the 2023 Appropriations Bill to a joint session of the National Assembly. And then the Appropriations Bill will contain budget proposals for the 2023 fiscal year. You know, and that's actually a very, very good thing.
Yeah, we're hoping it turns out well. As a matter of fact, it will be the last main budget Buhari will be presenting because of course he will be leaving office on May 29th, 2023.
Yes,
exactly. Of course, when his second
4-year tenure will expire.
And you know, the federal government is already proposing an aggregate expenditure,
I think, of about
19.76 trillion for the 2023 fiscal year, with a budget deficit of about 12.41 trillion naira. You are still watching Business This Week on Viewer Television. But let's go on a quick break, and when we return, Business This Week continues. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Business This Week on Viewer Television.
Yes. Now let's talk about unpaid bill. Well, it is a known fact that banks deduct charges from their customers but refuse to pay telecoms operators. I mean, you don't expect them to keep rendering services when they don't get paid. USSD is a service that is like SMS, but sends and receives data in real time. It is used by, I think, 2G and 3G phones without mobile internet connections for a variety of data connections.
Also, in Sub-Saharan Africa, only 28% of the population has access to the internet.
Yes.
Even bank customers will not be able to make ATM withdrawals or do transfers, as well as other digital banking related services.
Yes.
If the operators withdraw their services, and that will be indeed very disastrous.
Yeah, very sad. Well, let's move over to solar projects.
Exactly. A Norwegian solar development and investment company known as Empower New Energy has entered into an understanding that will accelerate the raising of about $74 million. That is, if I'm correct.
Yes.
From a consortium, led by climate funding managers to develop solar projects in Africa and C&I sector.
Yes, no fund is. I think no fund is investing $12.5 million in this capital raise, and in addition, the investor consortium is joined by Genero Energy. Yes, and well, we all know that the Energy AS is an investment company partly owned by Harrod, a profile Norwegian economist and investor. In large parts of Africa, you see companies tend to pay 25 to 50% more for electricity than elsewhere in the world. As a result of our investment in on-site solar power production, often including batteries, our takeoff partners can reduce electricity costs by 15 to 20% or more.
Or even more.
Well, that's that. Let's move over to cost of governance. The House of Representatives has commenced the process of scrapping and merging ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government with its ad hoc committee to investigate the duplications of functions of agencies of the federal government. Commencing the move to reduce the cost of governance and to ensure efficiencies.
Also, a lawmaker has said no state in this country today can regulate hotels to the level of grading and classification.
Yes.
He also pointed out to grade hotels with stars, the government must invest a seed capital. But I mean, no state is ready to give
that money. Yes.
We have agencies.
We have a lot of
doing
agencies.
The job of the others. And some are intervening agencies. Their lifespan have expired.
Yes.
But they are still there.
And the government
is still maintaining them by budgetary allocations. It is a waste for the country, if you ask me. We are looking at areas where we can shrink governance but increase productivity.
Yeah, this committee also has a mandate of assessing, ascertaining and doing a root cause analysis of regular bickering among some established agencies. I found out that some of those agencies have duplications of functions, and then the National Assembly makes enabling laws for all these agencies. We are looking at your mandate.
Yes, that's what we're looking
what are you supposed to deliver for this country?
That's what we're looking at.
And when there is bickering between agencies, there is overlap, and there is also duplication of functions. This committee has set up to look at the mandates and enabling acts. Are you executing them?
That is the
question. Are you effectively helping the government to deliver good governance
in the country?
to this country?
That is the question. It does not even end there. The other mandates of this committee includes to establish areas of mergers,
synergy and justifications
of existence of these agencies. Like you said, duplication of functions and overlapping could be there.
It could be there.
It could be there. But the question is, are they coming in? Are they
form
coming
the synergy?
yeah, exactly, to form in form of synergy?
Do we even look at merger of these agencies or enable the government to enable the organizations to fund these organizations effectively? Every year, the president asks the National Assembly for permission to obtain loans to maintain these these agencies rather.
All right, let's talk about the economy now.
Blue economy.
Blue economy, yes. Rather. There is a need for Nigeria and indeed Africa's industrial stakeholders
and relevant organizations yes.
Private entities as well as the NGOs to synergize efforts towards enhancing decision making in maritime domain.
And it is my firm belief that this workshop would engender thought-provoking discussions and provide implementable decisions as well as reawaken the consciousness of African states towards evolving strategies for the sustainable development of African seabed.
Yeah, I believe so.
You know, let's move over to sales reports. You know, amidst the challenging operating environment which has tested the resilience of institutions and businesses globally, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, which is the NNPC Limited, has continued to weather the storm by posting its second consecutive year of profits of 674 billion in 2021 financial period. Well, the positive result is coming as global economies continue to struggle with the recessionary forces and weak economic outlook.
Today, I'm happy to announce that the board of NNPC has approved 2021 audited fiscal statements.
Yes.
And NNPC has progressed to a new performance level.
It has.
From 287 billion naira profit in 2020 exactly to 674 billion naira profit after tax in 2021.
I mean, you climbing
higher by 134.8%
YoY. Yes, profit growth. Yes.
And that's where we draw the curtains for the program Business This Week.
Yes.
For today. Thank you for being a part of it. I do hope you enjoyed the conversations as much as we've enjoyed bringing them to you. From federal budgets and gas glaring.
Yes, thank you so much for being a part of it. And another interesting package will wait till next week.
Exactly.
And we will be back next week at 3:30 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.